Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your breakfast bankroll for Thursday, June 16th, 2022. Yes, the U.S. Open has teed off. A couple guys on top of the leaderboard, -3. ECSI VIPs got a nice little sweat going early with a potential first round leader. Obviously, plenty of golf to go. We talked about the advantages this morning of getting out early versus what the afternoon weather and wind looks like at Brookline right behind us. So it'll be an interesting day of golf, obviously, to start. The VIPs yesterday, coming off a real tough week in the Diamond. And then we start the week. We take a Monday off. Tuesday we win. We go 2-0, win 1.5 units. And yesterday, snake bit. I think Phillies first 5 lose, and they win the full game with a 3-run homer walk off. Last night, Cubs team total over 5.5. They put up a 4 spot in the second. And in comes the Padres, who put up, I think it was 19. And the Cubs only can get one more run, and it lands on 5, so we're hooked there. And then we have that was for a half unit. And then we have a full unit on over 12 in Colorado and the Guardians. And if anyone didn't see it, go take a look at my timeline last night in the 7th inning, runners in scoring position for the Rockies. Down 6-5, and an amazing catch, which would have tied it at 6-6, which obviously would have got us our over. Instead, Guardians lead off triple in the 9th, and they score, make it 7-5, and that's where it stands for the push there. I was still up a couple coins to start the week. It's Thursday. It's a short board today in the MLB. We'll be fully focused again on the U.S. Open, on our first round leaders, hoping our outrights get out to some good starts there. AVES 4-3 winner in OT. Great game. I mean, if you're a hockey fan, or even if you're not, an amazing game. 3-1 AVES lead, and then a blink of an eye at the end of the second period. It's 3-3. Stays that way till OT, and less than 2 minutes in, AVES get the job done. AVES now -3 and change to win the Cup. You can grab the Lightning right now around +250. Again, all ECSI VIPs, you're holding +330. Okay, you're gonna get cute if you wait and hope that the AVES win game 2. Okay, so my point is here, it might be time to just dive in, get your guaranteed 2.5, almost 3 units. And then still play the exacta. The exacta is still in play as well. So full lot to talk about. So let's bring him in from the Palm Tree State himself, the one and only Mr. Scott E. Webb. Morning, Scott.
Morning, Jeff. Had to go get my cigars this morning. I'm feeling pretty good about now. Of course, I haven't smoked them yet, so it is what it is.
How you feeling after game 1?
Better after the second period. I thought that the Lightning looked slow, and I thought they looked slow at certain points in the game. But I also think that if you're gonna win, you got to beat the Lightning, right? So, because I don't think they're gonna necessarily go beat themselves. I also thought that they missed a lot, meaning that there was a lot of little, passes that were just too far off the stick, and little tip shots that they were trying to make and different things, and they just missed a lot of opportunities that they were provided with. So I think that there might be some scoring in this, and I also think that it was a great game. I mean, it was a great game to watch. I watched the whole damn thing, and not that I don't watch the Lightning play much often anyway, but I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Obviously, in my mind, I sit here and look at it, okay, well, they lost. That's no big deal. And the betting strategy and the betting angles and things like that, people are going to look at. And I just think that this is a tough team to beat. So we'll just see what happens and kind of go from there.
It's funny. Me and Andrew talked yesterday about an overreaction. It didn't matter who won game one. The thought process was, if Avs were up 3-1, if they won 5-1, I think there would have been a big overreaction. But I really thought that the public was siding with the two-time champs. Your Lightning, good battle back, tough loss. Now 18-1 after a loss the last 3 years in the playoffs. I'm expecting, the same type of series. The one thing I do want to mention, and you did bring it up, not many times the Lightning can say, holy shit, we're not as fast as. And the Avs run 4 lines. And it's a tough team to play, meaning this. Edmonton wanted to try to grit it out. The first game was like 8-6 or whatever the stupid score was. And then they try to grit it out game 2 and 3. And then at some point they just waved the white flag and says, hey, the only way we're going to beat this team is to win 7-6, 6-5. I think for you and the Avs is, I don't agree with the fact that first 1-4 is going to win these unless it's an empty net. I think your best strategy again is to win these 3-2, 2-1 games. I'm not discrediting any of the Lightning, the offense, anything like that. But I think Vasilevsky standing on his head, number one. Number two, if the Avs get it cranked up, I mean, they've only lost 2 games in the whole playoffs. The Lightning, I go back to the first series when you guys played Toronto. I compare Toronto to this Avs team with all the depth, with all the scoring ability. The problem with Toronto was they just didn't have a defense or a goalie. So, again, I think it's going to be a great series. We have the exactas still in play. We didn't take the sweep, obviously. We got the Avs in 5 as well. Be interesting to see if you follow the same pattern as you did against the Rangers, go down 0-2 and come back home, or if you can find a way to win on Saturday.
Yeah, it's I always looked at hockey at different than what the NBA is. I always thought the NBA was I don't want to call it more fixed because it's not. But to win on the road in the NBA is almost impossible unless you're just that much better of a team. But in the hockey, shit, those teams win on the road all the time. So I never thought it was the hardest thing in the world to win on the road. Although I think it's been proven a little bit this year that some of these teams are much better at home. I think that just because you won game 1 and it went into overtime, so I mean it could have been in anybody's game. But I just thought the passing, the opportunities that Colorado created were sharper, quicker, faster. Vasilevsky had to be really, really good. So he's not going to stop everything. And I thought the first, one of the goals he gave up wasn't very good, but whatever. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, these guys are humans. I mean, shit. I don't want to go stand in front of an 85-mile-an-hour shot of a hockey puck. I mean, shit. You ever pick up a hockey puck? Holy crap. That thing it's like I don't know, it's a 2-pound weight come flying right at you.
Baseball, the train keeps rolling. Braves 14 in a row. If I told you this, Scott, of those 14 games, they're 13-1 to the run line. That's how dominant the Braves have been, and I don't care who the hell they've been playing. The Yankees keep winning. Every time I see you wheel out Jalen Beeks, I see Beeks, I think of trading places. But the Red Sox keep rolling. Red Sox right now, 1 game behind the Rays. And is Toronto playing? I think we're still 3 behind Toronto. But the trains keep rolling. I mean, that's all I can say. The Dodgers, the Yankees, the Braves, Sox, I think, are like 13-2 their last 15 or something like that. What did you see last night? What do you see moving forward?
I talked about it a little bit yesterday. I said, watch out for some of these teams that you thought were dead, like the White Sox, for example. Not that they're beating anybody, but I will tell you this. Um, some of these teams are already gone. Detroit, Kansas City, Oakland, these are teams that they're not competitive. And if you can, start to gang up on them, figure out how to get into the game, and don't fear some of these run lines. I mean, you're going to have to play certain ways now, and you're going to do fine. Kansas City won yesterday, but that's not going to mean that they're going to beat everybody. And every situation is a little bit different. The Braves, the good teams are going to go on these long streaks. The bad teams are going to go on long bad streaks. And then they're going to pop up a win or two here and there. And, the good teams are going to pop up with a loss here and there. And then when the good teams play the good teams, you're going to have to try to figure out what matchups you want to bet on, if you want to bet on any. Because all summer long, I think we're going to run into huge numbers. I mean, every single day, there's the betting numbers in Major League Baseball are getting more and more difficult, and I think the favorites are winning. So you're getting shaded numbers too. So when I put out my numbers and start to look at some of these numbers, even if it's 10 cents or 20 cents or 30 cents, you're paying a price, right? So Cleveland plays Colorado today, and you got Sticks on the mound. But when I run my numbers, the numbers are, it's you're paying 10 cents to bet on him. Okay, well, I don't think he's worth 10 cents to bet on extra. Now, if you wanted to pay 10 cents to bet on Wheeler or somebody like that, that's a whole different other story. So you got to figure out what you're doing and what the line is and where you're at and where you're picking and choosing some of these battles, because I'm telling you that some of these teams have given up. And some of them just aren't any good, and they don't have the pitching to match up. And Detroit's one of them. I don't want to say that they've given up in a sense that they don't want to play for their manager. They don't have pitchers. All their pitchers are hurt. So they got all these fill-in guys coming in and trying to do whatever they can do, and they can't do anything. Faedo or whatever his name is, and the guy pitching today, these guys are Brisky. Brisky's had 2 good starts in a row here. So what does that tell you? That means he's going to get crushed today. And Perez is off of a bad start. So give me the Rangers, right? So it's just, it's how do you figure out what to do and how to do it and understand certain things. The good teams are going to win longer streaks, 5, 6, 7 games. The bad teams are going to lose 5, 6, 7 games. And there's going to be very few in-betweens, unless they play each other, like the Mets and the Brewers are playing each other. So those two, that could be a 2-1 series or a 2-2 series. They play 4 games, and then you got to figure out, how do I bet that, or if you want to get involved in it, because there's going to be good matchups for you. You just got to figure out how to do it.
You talked about it's travel day. Yesterday's slate wasn't the greatest. Today's, again, isn't the greatest. And I'm glad you brought it up because, we had some good discussions on the Discord channel yesterday in regards to just chatting away, just seeing how, everyone has, I treaded lightly with this, and I don't even know if I verbally can say it right now in the show. My dad always used to say everyone has an opinion like an asshole, and it's just the way it is. And I came across saying, I don't care what your record is in June and July. It's what you do in August and September to get to October. And some teams that started slow have positioned themselves now into, hey, we got about a month to go till the All-Star break. We're going to get healthier. And then at the break, we decide if we're buyers or sellers. And it's up to management who's going to make the moves, who's going to pay the prices for the Montosses and everyone else like that. The dog days of summer seem like, Scott, that they've started. I always say after the All-Star break, it's official, the dog days of summer. It looks like it might have started a few weeks early.
Well, it has. There's no question it has. And I think there's two things in play there. One, some of these teams weren't very good, and then the same teams that weren't very good, now they don't have any of the people that they were going to count on to help them be somewhat good. There's some very disappointing things going on, right? So if you remember back, let me pull up this thing real quick. If you remember back to some of like the contest over underlines, right? So the Detroit Tigers, the contest number was 78.5 wins. They're not going to get to. They're not even close. I mean, they're projected to get to 69. That's not very good. So Kansas City 74.5 wins. They're 65 wins. So some of these teams, they're just not going to get there. The Oakland A's 69.5 wins. They're going to probably get to 64, maybe. So when you start to think about it and you go, okay, so if there's 64 wins, that means they're not going to lose 100. Well, I think they still will lose 100. I think some of the projection models don't like to tell that you're going to lose 100 games because that's just a lot. But some of these teams are going to lose 100 games, and you might see Detroit, Kansas City, Oakland. You might see Washington in that neighborhood. These teams, and here's the other thing I'll tell you. That's kind of a misleading thing. The Pittsburgh Pirates, right? Everybody's like, God, look at the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Pittsburgh Pirates are third. Holy shit! When is the last time the Pittsburgh Pirates are third? Let me just preface this by saying that the Pittsburgh Pirates run differential is minus 101. Minus 101. Only the Washington Nationals is worse. So what does that tell you? That tells you that they've won a couple of games they probably shouldn't have won. They've never really been blown out a whole big time. But that tells me that they're going to crash and burn that team. So if you liked the Pirates, you're done betting them because they're not the right side to be betting on now. I do like that pitcher that they got who pitched yesterday. We talked about that. Contreras, that kid's pretty good. Now they only let him pitch 4 in a third inning yesterday, but the kid throws 100 miles an hour. And we talked about these guys coming off of injuries. Flaherty wasn't good yesterday. So these are opportunities and spots that you got to pick your battles, right? So this is going to be McGill's second start off of an injury today. You don't want to go support that. The question becomes is, can you support the other side? And those are the things that you kind of want to look at as the season progresses and the summer goes on. Find the hot teams, find the teams that are winning, bet on those guys over and over and over and over and over. And they're going to change because those streaks end. And when they end, you go find another team that's on a streak, whether they're losing or winning, it doesn't matter. And the Braves are on 14 games. So, that's that theory that comes into play that says, oh, they can't win that many games in a row. Okay, well, who says you can't win the 15th or the 16th or the 17th? No one. It just, it ends when it ends. And sure, the odds and percentages go down as the winning numbers keep moving up. But I will say, it's not your job as a handicapper to go and say, today's that day. Like you were talking about yesterday, right? You said you saw it on the internet all over. Everybody was going, yep, today's the day. Today's the day. Okay, bullshit. Fetty was awful. And I was all over the Braves 1.5 yesterday. Told everybody in the world it was the only play I'm playing, and it was terrible for Washington yesterday. And then, you go and say, well, maybe today's the day for Washington. Okay, I'm going to be against Washington today too. But whatever, it is what it is, right? So you just keep going and finding those spots. And you put yourself in what you might consider to be the best spots. I was looking at offense today, and there are 2 teams in Major League Baseball over the last 7 days that only hit 1 home run. Can you imagine that? There's 2 teams. 2 of them. Where are they? There they are. Nope, that's the other thing. Right here. So 2 teams. The Detroit Tigers and the Colorado Rockies they've got 100. How many at-bats? They've got 204 and 271 at-bats, and they've hit one home run each. One. Okay, Aaron Judge has hit like, I don't know, 7 all week, and these guys have hit 2 as a total. I mean, are you kidding me? So you want to bet against that, right? You want to go and say, Detroit, you can't score. You've scored 10 runs in 7 games. Okay, you suck. And the Chicago Cubs, they've scored 16 runs in 7 days. That's not very good. So you want to ride against offenses that can't score, especially when they're playing against teams that are hot. San Diego's hot, right? So you want to bet on San Diego as much as you can. And when they're playing a team like Chicago, you go, there's not much threat there. There really isn't. So that's where the difference, the differential becomes big. And then you got to figure out, okay, the line says it's big. It's minus 220 on the road. That's like minus 300 at home. So then you got to go and say, well, how do I get into this game and how do I not? Yesterday was a perfect storm for Atlanta because Fetty is not. It's the worst team that he can match up against. It's the worst. He's terrible against Atlanta, and then to compound that, you put the 29th ranked out of 30 teams bullpen, and they're going to score against the bullpen too, and they did. So that's kind of how this works, right? You find your matchups, you look at it, see what the whole game looks like, and then you make your best wagers. And I think that you can find your spots. You just have to be, you just can't go out there. It's like yesterday. I said, I like the Yankees, but there was no reason for me to bet it. I mean, it was a fair number. It was a good price, and they won. And made the comment that they've pitched against McCallahan before. And they actually don't do bad against him. And of course, Aaron Judge comes up first time up, hits a home run, and then they get ahead. What is it, 4-0? It ends up being 4-1, and then it ends up being, I guess, the bullpen didn't do so great, so it's 4-3 at the end. But then you sit here and you go, I didn't need to bet that game, so I didn't. Anyway, food for thought is exactly that. Just find your right spots, do the right things, and every day is going to present you with something.
Board's up there, as you said, just from the eye test alone, tough score in 19 and then coming back at 220 in the afternoon, yet Musgrove, overnight number 210, now down to 163 versus Swarmer. Again, first 5 minus the hook. If you want to go full game minus the run line, it's too big of a tax to dive in on the money line in my eyes. Obviously, Wheeler sticking out like a sore thumb, first 5 minus the hook against Washington. I agree with the Ashby angle versus McGill second time back. Red Sox day game, they're just rolling. Oakland, excuse my French, sucks. They're bad and they can't score. And, even if you get some hill regression, the Sox should find a way to win. Only at a 167. Do you get cute, go run line full game and believe in the back end? Do you try to get cute and go first 5 minus the hook there? Gosman, if I'm not correct, I think he's coming off 2 bad starts, Scotty, or 2 bad starts out of the last 3 against Wells. Severino against Beeks. I talked about Beeks there. Perez, been waiting for some regression, showing a few chinks in the armor. A Detroit team that just can't score. I think, go back a month, 6 weeks ago, Angels at Seattle would have been a hell of a game to get ready for a 10-10. Ohtani versus Kirby. Angels can't score. And Kirby is leaking. And so be interested in your thoughts there. And then Sticks against Cool. Lean Guardians. But again, Cool's been okay. But Guardians, again, get through with a 7-5 there. I like their heart. I like their manager, obviously, Tito. Thoughts on the board today?
Well, let's just cover the day games at first in case anybody wants to play day games. The first day game is that Oakland game, Oakland and Boston. And this is an interesting matchup, only in a sense that I think the number is way too big. Now, you're going to find this. So if you take biases out and different things, and I'm just mean betting biases from the sports book, my number on this game is like 130. It's not 167. the Fangraphs numbers that come from the projected numbers from Streamer and come from whatever the other guy's name is. What is it called? It's projection system. It's called Zips. It's interesting to me how they looked at this. So if I pull up Oakland and I pull up their numbers, Streamer has Paul Blackburn at 2.9 WAR for the season. 2.9. Now that's pretty good. Your best of the best are going to be in the 5s and above. Your all-stars are going to be between 3 and 4, and he's at 2.9. So that's pretty close. But what was interesting to me, is that Frankie Montas is 2.8. So the projected WAR for Paul Blackburn was better than it was for Frankie Montas. And I switched it over to Zips, and it's 2.2 for Blackburn and 2.9 for Montas. So truth be told, Blackburn is theoretically just as good or so as what Montas is. So now you're throwing him up today against Rich Hill. Now, 2 starts ago, not the last start, but 2 starts ago, these two teams played each other, Oakland and Boston. And Blackburn got beat up pretty good in that game, and Rich Hill was one of his best games. Now, he didn't have his best start after that, but the point being is I expect Blackburn to pitch pretty well today. I expect Rich Hill not to be as well. Now, having said that, that doesn't mean I'm going to go jump on the window and go to back Oakland. And the reason I'm not going to go back Oakland is because when you start to look at Oakland can't score either. They can't hit, they can't score, they can't do anything. And the other thing to keep in mind when you're doing these games is just because a team can't score doesn't mean that they don't win. Because look at the Marlins; every once in a while they win 2-1 and stuff. So this is a home game, away game, and it's a left-handed pitcher. So Oakland is 7-12 against left-handed pitchers, and that's pretty good for them because they're 14-31 against right-handed pitchers. 14-31, that's not very good. That's actually very bad. That they on the road are 14-20, which is almost double what they are at home. They're 7-30 at home, or 7-23. That's not very good either. So in the last 10 games, they're 1-9. In the last 20 games, they're 4-16. 4-16 in 20 games. Do you want to go bet on that? I don't. So I expect the game to be a little closer. I expect it to be a little more competitive, but I don't expect them to win. And I'm not going to go pay 167, and I'm not going to pay a first 5 just in case, Oakland takes the lead, and is ahead, say 3-2 or something after 5 innings or whatever. So I don't think there's value there. I'm just going to stay away. So that's the 1:30 game. The 2:00 game, I agree with what you said about the Padres, and they scored a bunch of runs yesterday. And here's the thing: Swarmer's pitching for the Cubs. I'm not a big Swarmer fan. Now, he's pitched pretty well in certain spots. He didn't pitch well his last time out. He pitched against the Yankees the last time out, and I guess if you're going to go against the Yankees, you might have your numbers turned upside down at any point in time. But if I pull up Swarmer and I tell you that I go look at his game logs. He's pitched 17 innings so far. He's given up 14 hits. Of those 14 hits, 9 are home runs. That's not very good. But I will to say this, just to make it a little more fair. He pitched 5 innings against the Yankees, and he gave up 6 home runs against the Yankees that day. So that's a lot. And he's pretty good on strikeouts. He doesn't walk anybody. His metrics aren't very good, but his results aren't very good either. So I expect him to pitch better today. I don't expect him to give up 6 home runs to the Padres. And then when you look at Musgrove, all he does is go out and pitch good. So theoretically, this could be a lower scoring game that the Padres can find a way to win. But do they win by 1.5? Do they win by a half a run? I don't know, and I'm not going to try to figure that out. The Cubs bullpen's not very good, so you could throw that in there, and you could go, well, I'm just going to bet on the back end of this game. Well, the Padres bullpen hadn't been that great either, so I'm just going to leave this alone. I don't like that one. And then the next one starts at 3:07. That's Tyler Wells and Gosman. Now, I will say this about Gosman. Gosman got off to a great start, was Cy Young kind of start. He's not there right now. His last on the board today, there's 17 pitchers. His Sierra number ranks him 12th out of the 17. He's 12th out of 17 pitchers. So, and he's minus, what is he? Minus 275 million? No, 250. So he's minus 250. So I don't like that. I don't want to bet on Gosman in this spot. However, I will say this: Kevin Gosman was a Baltimore Oriole several years ago, and that was when he was supposed to be good. And as I have now learned, and looking at, has he ever pitched against the Orioles since then? He hasn't. I shocked the shit out of me that he's never faced the Orioles after leaving the Orioles. So this is sort of I am going to come home and show you kind of thing. And what was interesting is that Toronto got off to a big advantage yesterday, and then they gave it all back and ended up having to win that game in extra innings yesterday. That Baltimore team is scrappy. They kind of hang around and they try to fight and they do whatever they can. So I don't like that kind of thing, especially if you're going to have to try to cover a run and a half or do that. And Wells has been good, so I'm going to leave it alone. And then that Cleveland game, you got McKenzie and Cool. There's not a lot here telling me to bet on Cool. There's not a lot saying Colorado should do well. I just think you're being overpriced in Cleveland. McKenzie's pretty good. But again, his metrics don't show that he's going to be real good. Of course, Cool's metrics are the worst on the board today. So I just sit there and go, okay, if you're going to play a small number and you wanted to play it during the day, this is the one I would play. I would play Cleveland over Colorado today, but I'm saving up for the later games. I like Texas today. Texas is playing Detroit. I don't like Detroit at all. Detroit can't score. We talked about their offense. They've hit 1 home run in 7 days. And Perez has been one of the best pitchers in baseball. So give me Perez. I'm not paying the minus 150. I'm going to pay him in the first 5 innings though. Minus a half a run is plus money. It's plus 100. I mean, it's not really plus money. It's, I guess, even money. So I'm taking that. And I'm going to take Wheeler tonight, and I'm going to take him on the run line, minus the 1.5 against Corbin Burns. Not Corbin Burns. That's ridiculous to Patrick Corbin to Corbin Burns. God, that's ridiculous. Anyway, that being said, Washington's not in a good spot here. Like Fetty yesterday. This is Corbin Burns I did it again. Patrick Corbin, who's having a rough time against the Phillies. The Phillies offense is good. They're good against left-handed pitching. Washington's not hitting. Washington is a team that don't strike out much in that, but Wheeler's really good against this team. So I'm going to do them on the run line, and I got that at minus 120.
Yeah, I think you hit some great spots. Again, guys, it's a travel day. The last 2 days in MLB has not been the greatest. I talked about before Scotty analyzed the board, what the eye test is saying. Have a hard time. Not that the Cubs are that bad. The Padres putting up 19. I expect the Padres to win. I just, have a hard time. I like the advantage with Musgrove, first 5 there. If you wanted to get into that minus the half, I don't have a problem with that. Scotty nailed Wheeler. We were on the ass end of the first 5, and they walk it off. So I'm kind of torn here. If I come back with the full game this time, I should have played the first 5 minus the hook there. So we'll be monitoring that all day. I'm staying away from Milwaukee and the Mets. The Mets usually pretty good after a bounce back, but I don't trust McGill today. Same with the Sox.
He's been pitching good too.
Yeah, exactly. Sox, I expect to win. It's a day game, travel day. You know what? I've seen crazy stuff happen on Thursday afternoons at Fenway. I'm going to stay away from there. The Gosman thing is intriguing. He has not been pitching well. We keep talking about the Orioles and being pesky. They are. They're like that damn gnat that won't go away. They just hang around. Beaks and the Yankees, it is what it is. Yankees are just rolling. It is what it is. I haven't stepped in there. I won't step in there. If you play,
it's hard to step in there.
Yeah,
those numbers are unbelievable.
Vegas is making it
real, better hit home runs.
Real hard to get involved in some of these games. And again, if you had Yankees full game minus the 1.5, apologies there. I like your eyes with Perez. First 5, even full game. Detroit's back end's not that good either. So we'll be looking at Perez in Texas first 5, maybe take a peek at the full game. Ohtani and Kirby. I mean, I guess you're getting a decent price on Shohei minus 119. It's just that they're bad right now. They can't score in Seattle, and Kirby versus Shohei. I just think it's a pass. Let's see what happens going into Friday. Lean McKenzie, I do, but we'll stay away from that. Talked about the Celtics right now, -4, 3.5 at Circa, 4 across the Vegas Strip, and over under of 210. Vegas is saying 107, 103 Celtics tonight. That's what they're saying. And almost had an opportunity to go Peoples, and I said no. So don't worry about it. I will not be in the Garden. I'll go to this next year 0-2 in the playoffs. So we'll have a full season to wait there. At 3 o'clock Eastern, the one and only Mr. Dubs Anderson will be coming on. We'll be talking some U.S. Open golf, and myself and Scott, I think we're going to probably pencil us in between 4 and 4:30 for the closing bell. We'll just go over where the numbers have gone. There's some day baseball that will be going on. There'll only be a short board, so be an abbreviated closing bell to get everyone going there. Closing thoughts, Scott.
Yeah, I guess the closing thoughts are this is the time to pay attention to spots, be vigilant on what you're looking for, which also then gives you some flexibility and freedoms to do the other stuff that you're looking at, right? You're trying to get ready for football. You're trying to do this. You're trying to do that. So and enjoy your life, right? We do these things. Win your bets, celebrate your wins, and when you're celebrating, there's no time better than to do it, out in the summertime when you can go play and have fun and not bundle up. So, I think that if I had any advice for people is pay attention to what you're doing, be more selective right now than you have been in the past, and look at certain spots, period, and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and we talk about the dog days of summer. I talk about them at the All-Star break. It's happening, guys. So I think moving forward, myself and Scott are really going to start digging in and trying to help you. Scott always talks about the last 7 days on Fangraph. Again, why is Atlanta won 14 in a row? Why are they 13-1 to the run line in those 14 games? Let me see. It's because they're number 1 in offense and number 2 in pitching. That's why, guys. I mean, numbers don't lie. Okay, as much as you want to look at the logo on the front and the name on the back, I'm sorry, that doesn't pay the rent, the mortgage. That doesn't pay the car note. Okay, numbers don't lie. And I'll close with this. I left a statement out there yesterday. Some people take it the wrong way. If you're serious about sports, you're serious about investing and wagering, and this is not entertainment, you must, I repeat, must do this. You must leave your heart and your ego at the door. Period. End of discussion. I was watching Over the Top a couple nights ago. It was on cable. My 2 cousins, one was a professional arm wrestler, were both in that movie. So they had some cameo appearances. But Sylvester Stallone, he talked about it, okay? He takes his hat, he puts it like this, and it's like an engine, okay? That's where you guys got to be every day when you take a look at the board, okay? You went out, you walked the dog, you got your cardio in, you had a good breakfast, you're feeling great. Now you come to hit the board, take your hat from here, switch it to here, leave the heart and ego at the door, and just study the numbers. And that's the sermon of the day. So if you are wagering early today and often, please do it responsibly. If you do have a problem, pick up the phone. There's an 800 number. Ask for help. Why? Myself and Scotty care. We want to see you here today, tomorrow, next week, next month through 2022 and beyond. For myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, from the one and only Scotty Webb at Webby20 MLB. And of course, our producer, Mr. Kiefer Bagwell. We wish everyone a blessed morning, a great afternoon. Come catch us at 3 o'clock with Debs Anderson. You know, horses for courses, as we'll be talking about Brookline and the U.S. Open. And then myself and Scott will be back around 4, 4:30. See you soon.